Michigan snow forecast gold standard here with the November update as we've entered into the cold season yesterday, as we are now 2/3 of the way through the autumn month as we head into November 2nd. In the last month of autumn, it's the second day of the cold season, so we're going to start doing a weekly update here at Michigan Forecast Gold Standard, and we appreciate the new followers and support. Comment down below in the comment sections on the videos and give me an idea where you're located and what you're looking for if you have any special needs. I'm going to go over kind of what we've been ironing out and putting forth beforehand starting in mid-October. Actually, mid-September, we put out our preliminary winter forecast, or preliminary, what we were looking for the fall and early, late fall season. And then in mid-October, we put out our preliminary winter forecast, I believe the 15th of October, right? If you can go back and scroll down on the page, you'll see that what we were outlining, we had a second year La Nina. We have a cold PDO look, right? And then the Central Pacific, what's going on out there, right? The Indian Ocean and the Northern Pacific with the big warm patch north of Hawaii. And we were going over the implications and how that has an effect on the upcoming wintertime, right? But as we are in the cold season, and we'll put out our final winter forecast about 10 days before fall is over, so around the 20th of November, a couple more weeks. We have no major changes. We've ironed out some of our analogs, right? And we think we're on the right track. As you know, we forecasted a cold November and a cold December to start the winter in the Northeast and Great Lakes, and then pulling back into the Midwest as we work our way through December, right? And that was after we've had a very mild fall, and we were out ahead of it saying we're going to have a cold, snowy start to winter, and we're going to get into some of the details, what we're looking at, and iron this out for you, right? So if you look at the sea surface temperatures, we have 4 major areas we're looking at out here in the Pacific, right? And out into the Indian Ocean. You can see this was October 19, 2021, right around the time I put my winter forecast out. You can see the big warm patch at 180 between 150 west and 150 east, centered at 180 and 30 north, right? That's a classic spot. You're looking for that when you're in a cold PDO and you have a cold PDO look, right? So pay attention to that, area number one. Then we go to current time. That patch is still there to the north and northwest of Hawaii, centered at 180 to 150 east to 150 west, but centered at 180 and 30 north, right? Same spot. Then we go back and we look at our cold PDO, where you have a cold ring of water along the coast of Alaska down to northwest Canada, right? And then you get to the Pacific Northwest coast of Oregon, Washington, down California to about the Mexico-U.S. border, and then it branches out to the southwest towards Hawaii, right? And you get the cold ring. Now, if you look at it currently, it's still right there, right? You can see it's a little bit changed, a little bit colder up here, a little bit warmer in here, but you still got that cold ring, so check. Then we look at 3, our La Nina, and this is a second year La Nina, as we had a La Nina last year in the winter time of 2019 and 2020, or 2020 and 2021 winter, and now a second year La Nina in the 2021-2022 winter. You can see it here, right? Spread out evenly. We go to now, it's still about the same, right? And then we go to our 4th major area we're looking at. This has to do a lot with the MJO, or the Maddie and Julian oscillation. And there's certain phases, that are warm phases for the eastern North America and the United States, and there's cold phases in the wintertime for North America and the eastern United States, right? So this is very important, number 4. And this is going to determine where the upward motion and where the storms are going to go off out over the Indian Ocean, and determine what and how strong of a phase of the MJO you're going to be in, and how much that's going to play into the winter. Usually the MJO plays a very big key, and you can see right there that's almost identical, right? So we're on the right path, but where we thought the sea surface temperatures would be. And that put this out for October based on our analog years, and we have 1985, 89, 98, 99, 07. We've waited twice, because what we like 08, 2010, we've waited 3 times, because we think that's the closest running right now. And then 2011 was a horrific warm winter, and then 2017, right? Winter. Had some cold spurts, had a lot of warm spurts, right? Had some storms. So that's what it said it should look like. Warm or cold down the west coast from Oregon and Washington and California down, And then as you got into the mountains, slightly below normal, right? And then east of the Intermountain West Exchange, it got very warm, right? And if we look at what actually happened in October, ending October 31st, very cold down. See what the cold water does out here? It makes it cold. And then Alaska, cold air starts to build, right? And you can see cold down the west coast. It happened in the Intermountain West below normal. And then east of the Intermountain West Divide, it got very warm. And it was forecasted to be very warm. And just a subtle hint of coolness on the Gulf Coast, probably because tropical development. You had a subtle hint, but it nailed it pretty good. So we're on the right track there. And then if we looked at our November precipitation now, it shows the Ohio Valley, Illinois River on up in the western Pennsylvania, and on up in the Ontario in the southeastern Great Lakes, in central and southeastern Illinois, very wet, right? And then we wet out in the Pacific Northwest and then dry in the south. And that's typical of a La Nina. And then it has this for our temperatures, right? And you know our November forecast, we have it cold in the east. We thought it could start out warm, but it's starting out cold in the east. Then the cold's going to back up into the high plains, the Pacific Northwest, high plains, and building in northwest Canada. And that's why we thought there could be a warm period in the Great Lakes and Midwest mid-month. And then late month, around the 20th, that cold air is going to push, and it's going to overtake the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast, and it's going to be a very cold end. So a cold start in the Northeast, then a warm week on week 2.5 to week 3, and then a cold finish, right? And it's going to be a cold November overall. And this was our November forecast. Michigan Snow Forecast Gold Standard put out about 15 days before November started, right? And you can see what we got going on here is, see where we're at. You can see we had a much below normal in this dark blue Arctic air building pushing southeast mid-late November. You can see where we have that cold air building. And then we had warm start possible, cold air mid-late November, right? It was warm the first day here. It was cold in the upper Midwest and Northeast. And then we had overall 2 to 4 degrees below normal up here, and 1 to 3 degrees below normal in the light blue, 2 to 4 degrees above normal in the orange, and then 1 to 3 degrees above normal with a question mark in the yellow, because the only thing we weren't sure about is if we had a warm start to November, which we did not because it's cold right now, and then we knew there would be a warm up midway through the month for a few days or a week before the cold air really pushed in. But that looks to be the only warm up in November along the East Coast, is a brief mid-month warm up. So we think we're going to be below normal now on the East Coast, and I would extend this now if I was able to update this, and I open this with my drawing tools right here. If I was to re-update this as an add-on, this is where I would say, as we go into our drawing tool live for you, because I haven't updated our November forecast because I like what I got out here, I would update this to being colder than average for the month now. Oh, not right there. I would say you have a higher probability in this yellow area, even all the way down into here, to be below normal, as this was more of our equal chance. This is probably all going to be below normal now. So when I update this, we need a color that's not here. Now we need a cold color. That's going to have to be this. We'll make it a little bit lighter. Of course, my laptop's dying. 19%, got plenty of time. If I had to up this, I would say this whole eastern side right here would be below normal for November after it shakes out, because we didn't have that warm start. But that would be the update that I would make. It would just push and bully the cold more. You can see I already had it knocking down, right? And we went over that in November or October for our November forecast. But I like what I got going on there. I think it's a phenomenal forecast from 15 days out in the face of a near record warm October for much of the area that I had flipping the cold and below normal for November. And if we look out now to the computer models, you can see week 1 of November, as you know, you're warm up over top and you're cold in the Northeast from November 1st to November 7th. That's why I'm going to knock down what I thought would be warm there, right? Because it's cold. I'm in central Illinois about right here, and it's very cold for this time of the year, but I like it. It's beautiful. If we work our way into week 2, you can see November 9th to the 14th. That's that warm up, in our November forecast that we put out 15 days before November started, in the middle of the month, I could see a warm-up coming, and that's why if we had a warm start in the Northeast, I figured it would be colder up here. That's why I had it below normal. If we had this warm-up that is forecasted, this model was put out this morning at midnight, this would have been tough to get it below normal in the Northeast, and that's why I had it 1 to 3 degrees above, because I thought the much above, if we had a warm start, the cold finish would balance it out near normal, but we had a cold start, and then I still like that warm-up mid-month, but it's only about a 5-day warm-up. And then once we start to go into week 3, November 13th and November 18th, this has the cold coming a little quicker. I think it's going to take a little longer. I think this is going to be back here. This blob that you see here will be anchored here, the 13th to the 18th, bowling its way southeast. But there is a big storm that's going to be coming out, and you can see the cold air comes in, and I think it's going to lock itself in here for the rest, entering into the Thanksgiving and on into December. I think it's going to be very cold and snowy December and a very cold, stormy November, right? And this was our preliminary winter forecast. You can see after we went over the sea surface temperatures, we think that high pressure is going to be backed off to the northwest where that warm patch is, and it's going to have a blocking high, and it's going to throw the cold air to build over Alaska, and it's going to drive it down east of the mountains out west along the Pacific Northwest and allow the cold air to funnel in the central Canada and then push its way into the upper Midwest, the Pacific Northwest, and on into the Great Lakes and Midwest, and then a southeast ridge forms, maybe even up into the East Coast, and you have a storm track that comes out of the top. You see the Pacific jet stream comes over the top, comes down the Rockies, comes into this area where you've seen 2 storms now this year come out over the Rockies, develop and phase with a southern stream, and then move right up the Ohio River Valley, southern to central Illinois, southern to central Indiana, southern to central Ohio, and then out into the Northeast, and then a coastal storm develop. That's, I think, what the storm track's going to be, and I think this is a phenomenal winter forecast. We have 3 to 6 degrees below normal here, 1 to 3 degrees below normal here, neutral with a fighting zone in the middle, and then 2 to 4 degrees above normal, and then 1 to 3 degrees above normal in the orange, and 2 to 4 degrees or 3 to 6 degrees above normal in the red. I think it's a phenomenal storm track, right? And here's the aforementioned 2021-2022, fuck that up, snowfall forecast. I believe your precipitation out in the west is going to be much above normal. I believe in this orange is going to be below normal. So New York, Washington, Philadelphia, I think it's going to be below normal, right? But as you get into the 100 percentile of normal, right, in the light blue, places like Louisville, Albany, Minneapolis, I think you're going to hit 100% of normal. So Louisville, that's 8.7 inches. Albany, that's 51.6 inches. And Minneapolis, that's 54.6. Now, major cities where I think it's going to be 150% of normal snowfall is the dark blue. Chicago, 55.5 inches, I think is going to fall. St. Louis, it's going to be very snowy winter, 27 inches. And Detroit, very snowy winter, I have 63 inches. All my Great Lakes metropolitan residents and Detroit residents on here, I have a very snowy forecast, as the average in Detroit is 42 inches of snow at Metro Airport. Last year, Detroit, I believe, had 42 inches of snow, or 43 inches right on the head. I was out of state for the winter, but I believe when I looked it up, you had right at average. I'm forecasting 20 inches of snow above normal at 63 inches. I think Detroit is going to have a very snowy winter, reminiscent of the 13-14, 14-15, and 15-16 winter in Detroit. I think it's going to be a very snowy winter, so look out, get prepared, right? And then the greater Bloomington metropolitan area in between St. Louis and Chicago, about right there at the tip of my pointer, I have 33 inches of snow forecasted for us when the average is 23. And last year they had 2 inches above, or their average is 20. And they redid the averages the years they go off of. Last year their average was 21, and they had 23 inches of snow, which was 2 inches above normal. This year their new averages based off the new 30-year means is 23 inches. So I have 33 inches of snow forecasted in the greater Bloomington metropolitan area in central Illinois. And I think this is a phenomenal call, and we'll see how it shakes out. We'll keep it updated. I'll keep, as the snow season goes on, after the first month of November is up, we'll reissue this map, same map, and I'll tally the totals and see what's going on and see how close we are above, behind schedule, right? And then you can see the Decembers, as I think we have a very cold December coming up. These are the Decembers and how they shake out. You can see very cold in the upper Midwest, down into the Midwest and Great Lakes and Northeast is very cold. And I think it's going to be a very cold December, right? And then you can see as how I think winter is going to get started. This is fast forwarding to the 17th of November. You got a lot, see all this high pressure up here? The orange and yellows are high pressure, and that's blocking. And these storms that we've had here, we've had blocking up here over Greenland and Northwest Canada over the James Bay. This shows two low pressures that swinged out, but there's going to be a big high pressure building here, and that forces storms to the south. You can see it's all high pressure up here, feeds North America with Arctic air and Canadian air. Perfect recipe for storms as you get low pressures digging in out of the lower Midwest and then pushing its way to the Northeast, tapping the Gulf of Mexico moisture, getting feeded and seeded by Arctic air with the block over the top. You can see this big low off the coast of Alaska and pushing back to the west. That is indicative of a negative EPO, and that promotes ridging in Northwest Canada and Alaska that seeds the North America, the Midwest and East with Arctic air and Canadian air. And as long as that's out there, that's phenomenal. And that's what we're basing our winter forecast, that this will back off a little bit more and get centered back in here. You got a blocking high pressure back out even farther, right? And then you have high, low, high pressure, right? And that would be beautiful, and that seeds North America with Arctic air. Thanks for joining us and enjoying this update, as I'm going to be doing weekly updates at Vincenzo'S Gold Crypto Investing in Michigan Snow Forecast Gold Standard. I appreciate your support and continue to comment and communicate and give you the latest updates as the winter season progresses and gets into full stream.